Welcome to Between Us Three, yes, also known as BUT. We're business, but with banter and no BS. I'm Lauren. I negotiate six figures salaries, but I won't negotiate on coffee quality. Yep, I'm a coffee snob. Hi, guys.
Nice.
With me, as always, we have Nathan, who builds high-converting websites, but doesn't know how to close the 437 tabs screaming for mercy on his browser.
Guilty.
Hey, Nate.
Hi.
And also Chris, who's allergic to ambiguity but thrives in grey areas. Hey, Chris.
Hey, all the greys where the fun is.
Yeah, well, yeah. Interesting take. Good to be here.
Let's check in.
Let's do it.
Who's first? I'll go first. Personal for me, my three kids went to a Kesha concert last night.
Kesha.
Kesha is
still around?
still a real thing.
TikTok. That's
Yeah,
nice,
on the
I know.
clock. So I had yesterday, I'm trying to refix my algorithm in Apple Music after having Kesha thrash it for a couple of days. So I'm have to go old school 90s rock again. Professional positive for me. Last week I had the privilege of meeting and what we'll call him is my intellectual man crush in the name of Dr. Jason Fox, who is a wizard philosopher out of Melbourne, who is phenomenal. So it was a big week for me last week. I tried to remain cool.
Okay. You were fanboying.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Nice one.
Nathan.
Nice. Well, I shouldn't say this out loud, but I have somewhat worked out how to hit a driver straight in my golf game.
Okay.
Not anymore.
I'll pretend to
Somewhat.
know what that means.
I know as soon as I say that, I've probably ruined it now. But
Jinxed it.
you go. If anyone is starting out in golf, you sort of go through these phases of you can hit certain clubs at different times, but as soon as you fix one, you ruin the other one, and it's almost there. It's almost coming together. So that's been good.
Okay.
And then professionally, January was a bizarrely successful month. Normally, everyone's still asleep. We've got the holiday hangover, but Pixel has had a phenomenal January. So
I don't think you're alone. A lot of the groups I work with have started 2026 on a really positive front foot, and I was trying to discern whether it was real or whether it was just New Year positivity. So
Year of the horse. It's coming out of the gates.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yourself?
Well, personal, I had this gorgeous little chat recently with my little boy about gratitude, and he's been reminding me every day about the leaves or the fact that we have eyeballs or the fact that there's something happening, or it felt like a real parenting win.
when's that going to get old?
Also, I have a
though?
little guru. I know.
When's it
It's
going?
like,
Just
I'm
let me
grateful
wallow.
for them. Like, shut up.
Let me wallow in my negativity.
For a moment anyway. In this current moment, it's a personal win. Professionally, I supported a business recently who'd gone on their own to try and recruit a pretty senior finance role, and we ended up having a really robust shortlist of 4 candidates from proactive outreach on my part, which just reinforces that, that the good people are often not looking at the job boards. So it was a plan B, but I might be there plan A next time.
Nice.
Awesome.
That was a good
Well
outcome.
done.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a good one. All right. Quick quips. What are we talking about today? Anyone see anything interesting or?
I have been deep in operations, so I've been in session room for the last several weeks. So my head's been somewhat buried.
There's been a lot of talk of AI and robotics at the moment. Seems to be the hot topic. And I don't know if anybody saw the Chinese dance troupe that performed doing all sorts of martial arts moves.
No, I missed this.
Phenomenal, like the fluidness of the movement and interacting with the kids, dancing with them and things like that. They were doing like rehearsed sort of fight scenes and
Wow.
quite phenomenal. Which then was followed by a video I saw of them using machine guns. But anyway, I think that one might have been AI generated. But you can see it's coming. Robotics is just coming so quickly and so fast.
Yes.
And I'm very intrigued at what Tesla's going to bring out. But
What's the knowledge axis of AI versus then the physical axis of AI, and how when they intersect, then our relevance becomes questioned. And I think that's a really interesting, challenging, probably not a conversation for right now, but maybe later. It's a deep one, man.
I've noticed this reverse mentoring apparently happening in workplaces, particularly that are tech adopting or, digital literacy is becoming important. So getting the younger of their staff cohort to mentor the older of their staff cohort. And it's revealed some interesting tensions about how that feels and how the dynamic shifts and, taking advice and authority from those to your junior or, feeling comfortable sharing advice with those to your senior and how people interpret guidance and what you need to be mindful of. And it's something I think that employers should embrace more. I think that we should be cross-pollinating in that way more rather than the traditional waterfall down from those most senior in a business.
It does sound like a great strategy or a tactic perhaps on if you're trying to build leaders, as I think most of us should be when we get to it's got to be a skill, right? You're never going to be on the same level as everybody that's one of your direct reports from an age perspective. I mean, I was leading a team at 23. I think a lot of us were, and half of them were way older than me.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to communicate without being the smart ass in the group. I was called the golden-haired boy for about back when I had hair.
Golden-haired boy, you had luscious long golden
I did
locks,
not,
did you?
but it was just a turn of phrase to put me back in my box.
Okay.
But anyway, that's interesting. I like that.
Yeah. It was something I read recently.
Did you see this week, in the last couple of days, that Jacinta Allen has come out and said that she's going to enact the working from home rights of Victorians before the election? They're actually going to put it in place before the election, not an election promise. That would be very interesting to see how that plays out.
I mean, I think what better than an election promise would put it in place. So powerful for them to do that. And
Certainly
it's very
divides.
topical.
It
Very
obviously
much.
divides the worker from the employer.
Sure.
Or the worker that can't possibly work from home. It might,
Of course. But one might argue that there are many more employees than there are employers.
Oh, absolutely.
At the polling booth.
But a tradesman, a nurse, a police person.
Of course, there are big cohorts, but they might have partners that are otherwise affected or family members.
I would say the majority want it.
Yeah, right.
So it's
or
an
at least,
it's an easy win.
Even if they feel personally aggrieved, they might not want to quash it for others. It might not be the distinction between a vote or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm looking forward to seeing, and I haven't read anything about it. I've obviously only heard the media, but what's the operational sort of, how do you enact that? Because I think if somebody comes to you and asks for flexible or changed working,
which is already protected.
you have
when
to
you've got
operationally
caring.
review it. So how is it different? What's the difference? Is it just that it says work from home now instead of flexible work environments? Is it just a grammatical change and they're using it for political gain? So I don't know. It could be divisive.
Very true. Very
Anyway.
true. Or if it has to be tethered, currently it has to be tethered to care commitments, whether it's for a child or a relative or something, and it must be care oriented to be reviewed and requested. So I wonder if that will broaden,
Well, their
or if
argument
it's just preference.
in her social media, she's got a new social media team, I think, because it seems to be a little bit more polished. There's stuff coming out.
okay.
But,
It's not you, is it?
It's really no, it's not me. To basically, these workers can save money on transport, save money on food costs. They get a better quality of life because there's less time travelling. So it's not motivated by the circumstances, I don't believe. Yeah.
We did a roundtable a couple of weeks ago, and there was a business owner on there who runs a reasonably large electrical contractor, and he was adamant, thank God my workforce can't work from home, because he goes, the number of people we turn up to their house to do a maintenance check, and they're, oh no, we're working from home. All right, you have the place, I'll go and walk the dog for an hour. And he goes, people are making a joke out of it. But I thought that was interesting because I have a perspective that work from home puts the onus on the leader to ensure that there's clarity and that the outcomes of that person are visible. It's no longer, as long as I can see that person working, then I know they're working. So it changes it from if I can see you, I know you're working, to if I can architect your work and the outcomes to be visible, then I know you're working. So all you're doing is changing the onus of that person to turn up to prove they're working onto you as a leader to prove that that person is capable of working. So I'm not sure I'm being clear enough with this, but I like the change that work from home injects into business because it forces people to create clarity and lead their people and engage them and also have systems that show, human-based systems that show the outcomes of the work that they're doing.
I think it's so tempting though that so many, and rightly so, it's not everyone's want to think about things from a broad perspective, but what we might assume is like, oh, you know, no commute, don't have to make my lunch or whatever it might be, means that on the weekend when they go to a cafe for brunch, their brunch costs double because that cafe hasn't had their weekday trade.
Yeah.
And so it ends up affecting them perhaps negatively in some aspect, or, you know, it drives competition up because there are so many closing or different, you know, you can't maybe go down to your local shop and they've just gone online only. Or, you know, I've had a couple of interesting chats recently with a couple of people who've been really annoyed at how now we're doing card only with a lot of places and they're not accepting cash. And so, yeah, it's not just about what maybe is the most visible, but it's the layer behind it and even the layer behind that and how that will end up affecting you and having a more lateral view of it.
We've talked about previously about the liability of the employer and ensuring and the quality of you know, ensuring that the worker has a good place to work where they can be productive. My wife's employer has a policy for their working from home. It's actually in a working from home agreement.
Okay.
And as part of that, you have to send in photos of your workspace, of your kitchen, and of your toilet.
H&S requirements.
So to make the agreement, you have to prove that you have all of these things in a safe, reasonable condition to be able to work from home.
It's considered a workplace.
Yeah.
Therefore,
Of course.
At first I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. That's a bit off. But
Well,
yeah,
it makes
kinda
sense.
I've not heard the kitchen and the toilet before. I mean, my previous business,
station.
we had to, you want to do an OH&S check of the workspace. Is your desk ergonomically sound? Because if somebody hurts their back typing, it's on you as the employer. So that makes sense. But the toilet, I don't know, man.
Well, my mind goes to things like, where does it end? What about, you know, I mean, at the moment, I'm loving the weather we've been having. It's been absolutely beautiful weather lately. But, you know, before long, I think it's April 2 that daylight savings wraps up, or we're getting darker and creeping to winter. And what if it's a drafty house, or there's damp or black mould, and all of a sudden those conditions render someone needing to take medical or sick leave? You know, where does the line draw? Where is the line drawn as far as what proof you need of your environment?
I think we've spoken before about the Howard Andrews law breakfast from a few years ago with the case of the woman who fell down the stairs.
Yes.
Or the woman who went for a jog at lunchtime and broke something. You know. And it is frightening in some ways, but then again, I think one of the issues we've got up there is like, when have we done enough? Which is from a different topic, but it's interesting. Like, what is the onus? Where does it end and where does it begin? And how do you make it clear? Because clarity is kind of where it needs to sit with the business. How do I ensure that I'm doing everything I need to do? Because if you care about your people,
Dovetails into our topics for the day.
yeah.
What are we covering today?
What have we got?
Well, where were you heading, Chris, with when have we done enough?
Well, slightly different, but it's funny, the conversations with leadership teams, and that's kind of what I do almost every day. But one of the challenges is as a leader, if you don't genuinely want the best for your people, you probably shouldn't be in a leadership position, right? Like it's actually quite uncommon, but it's the truth. But if you want the best for your people, you often find leaders who will second guess themselves for months and maybe even years, and give people second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chances. You're nodding knowingly there, Nath. Like, this is just that conversation of, have I done enough for this person, and when have I coached them enough? Have I been clear enough with their work practices? Have I given them enough training? and we second guess ourselves into lower profitability, into stress and angst as leaders.
It's a respectable mistake, though, and in that you're taking full ownership of the issue.
I agree with that, but the challenge is, how do we determine when we've done enough?
Mm-hmm.
And what does enough look like? Mm-hmm. So it's almost like a question for you guys. Like, if you're managing a human being that you genuinely want to help meet your needs and expectations as a business owner, how do you determine that you've done enough?
I would say that the majority, not the vast majority, but the majority of leaders that I know don't ask that of themselves. I don't think that for the exposure that I've had with leaders, I would prefer them ask if I've done enough. I think that in my experience, I probably the balance of those who maybe make quicker decisions or aren't talking about enough, but maybe that'll do, or minimal effort is, I would say that outweighs those that are asking if it's been really thorough or considered or tailored or enough.
Or the other side of the coin is those.
So I'd be interested, are you seeing more that are asking, have I done enough? Because that's
maybe I just work with a lot more
good
human beings. I don't know.
Amazing humans, yes.
The other side of the coin is, I pay this person $180,000 a year. They should tell me how to do the job. And they don't get coached, they don't get onboarded properly. You should, that's the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
Is you should be doing this, as opposed to, I need to be really clear about what my expectations are. This is the role you're in. This is what I need from the role. And this is the cadence we're going to meet. Like, clarity will bring that enough to the surface really quickly.
I think inexperienced leaders are at either end of that spectrum, that, what you just described, both ends of that. And so I'll call out my wife, who's new to leadership.
That's twice, mate.
And we've had conversations about managing a team, and she's really self-conscious about, did she support her team well enough?
Yeah.
If there's a performance issue, she's taken it on board as hers. But I think that's because of her lack of experience to know, has she done enough? My personal experience is that sometimes you don't know the other side, the full story of the person you're managing, and reasons for things sometimes. And for me, that's comes down to your leadership skills, but human connection skills, and that being able to sort of connect and be approachable and trustworthy, so that you can get that full picture. Because sometimes if you knew the full picture, you would realise you haven't done enough to fully support someone in their circumstances. I've had that issue come up before, where I was really disappointed with somebody, but I didn't know the full picture. Yeah.
And the gap's just a conversation, though, isn't it?
That's it. And did I have the skills to get that conversation
Well, it's even
going?
that's right. I mean, even I'm a, professional interviewer. Like, I meet people at a picnic and they're like, why are you looking at me weird? And I'm like, I have just completely summed you up in the first 5 seconds of this conversation. But it is, I think that leaders need to have the behavioural lens to maybe read between the lines, but then what's enough? Do they need to be going and doing psychometric courses and psychology and learning behavioural leadership? And
yes,
how much should they be,
is the short answer,
reading between the lines? How much should be interpreted versus, overtly requested by the employee? And how much is it up to the employer to fill in the blanks? So I think that in it all, it's what's reasonable. I wouldn't expect an employer to be like, I think she actually meant this, or have the crystal ball, but there is a level of empathy where, I can tell you're holding something back, and can we talk about this further, or even just some prompting.
You have to know what's on someone's mind, which means you have to ask.
But others who might just call it and say, okay, we're done, and not go. So it's hard, yeah.
Well, the cycle that I teach in often, I mean, we talk about core values, so there's a values alignment. And is somebody displaying the values that you want to feel in your organisation? So having a reasonable conversation around that, and having a couple of data points, being really clear about somebody's role, This is the box that you're in. This is your job, and these are the roles that I expect you to execute on, and you should be accountable for those. And if somebody isn't accountable, then it's not a conversation around I've told you something that you haven't been paid attention to, or you haven't done something that I haven't told you to do. Like the whole assumptive, you assumed you would have done it. It's common sense, right? Really clear about expectations, so that if you have that conversation often enough, it almost turns into a interpersonal "you've let me down" conversation, not a "I'm holding you accountable for the role." After you ask them if everything's okay, because you haven't delivered on this, and we agreed back here when we onboarded you that this is the outcomes. What have I missed in this process? How have I not given you the right clarity information? Is everything okay at home? Is everything okay in the workplace? Can I support you better? And then, is that enough?
I think it's fair to say, as a parent of one and a newer-ish parent, so many said to me, if you're Googling things at night, or if you're asking, am I being a good enough parent, that's a marker of a good parent, to just be even conscious of the question. So I think similarly with an employer, if they're asking, have I done enough, just the curiosity around it, or even taking the time to think about it, probably lends itself to being that you're a good employer.
The challenge then is, from me to businesses, is how do you define enough so that you're giving your leaders a gift to reduce that anxiety, to reduce that 3 a.m. thoughts of, oh my God, have I given that person enough? Like, that's where burnout happens, because leaders are asked to perform at a level that they're not trained to do.
For sure.
And if they're leaning into a culture that they love, they will go above and beyond until they sacrifice themselves for the role. So how do we define what enough is?
Never before have we asked so much that's hybrid counselling from our people leaders and our managers.
Absolutely.
And mental health, whilst wonderfully, something that we speak about so much more openly, has then meant that the openness within the workplace has also then tracked up so markedly that my heart does often go out to employers who feel nostrils above water, that they're like, I'm not cut out for this, or I don't have the knowledge, or I want to support, but I don't know. And you're right with the enough, what's reasonable. And
we do spend a lot of time with our co-workers, and so it's natural that a lot of like life's events and stresses come out in the workplace. So leaders do end up doing a lot of counselling, and they're not necessarily qualified to do that.
Yeah,
no. But I mean, over decades, it becomes almost a sixth sense in some ways. I had to catch up with a friend this morning who does what I do, and we're talking about scorecards. So it's like not a tangent, but talking about employee satisfaction. And he had a client who said, why do I test how happy my people are? It's not my job to make them happy. This is work, which is an interesting perspective. I would challenge that satisfaction in the workplace is your responsibility, but happiness is somebody's own responsibility. So there's some nuance there. But instead, they took ESAT off the scorecard and they replaced it with their organisational checkup score from EOS. And if they're doing all the things within what a good business should be doing, then the outcome should be satisfaction anyway. So you're almost working backwards to an input. So that's
And your take on that? What would you prefer?
Well, I challenged and I said, aren't you just masking what the outcome is ESAT?
It's more direct.
And what you're not asking is what are the inputs to ESAT? You're just saying ESAT equals happiness, but it doesn't. Let's not get all existential, but happiness should come from within.
interesting.
So you can be completely satisfied with your workplace. Yeah. Not necessarily brimming with happiness.
It's like customer satisfaction. You don't want to make your customers happy because, this sounds terrible, but happiness implies that, oh my God, I'm getting so much value for my money here. So are you over-delivering? So satisfaction should be the goal, the aim.
Well, that actually leads beautifully into something that I wanted to touch on as far as our next topic, about whether we're really just craving intensity at work, or happiness, or stimulation in some way, because work's feeling transactional. So I think that more than ever, our output is measured over presence.
Yep.
Our annual reviews are being replaced by continuous monitoring. efficiencies being considered more than depth, and it's slack over conversation. And interestingly,
The first two positive, the second two not so positive.
Yeah, interesting. So I mean, for me, I've noticed that culturally we've had this resurgence of almost this gothic romance, or I'm hand up. I was one that went to see Wuthering Heights recently, and big fan. I thought it was really, really great. But where it's Bridgerton or A Court of Thorn and Roses. I haven't read that book series, but it's everywhere at the moment. And there's social media have got these long Italian countryside edits or captions about may this life find me, or old money aesthetics, and this permeation of substance that I feel like is coming into our culture more and more. That optimization at work reduces friction.
Yep.
And maybe friction creates texture. And perhaps we're sanitizing work and craving this otherworldly aspect to how we are.
Is it friction, or is it a reduction, or almost a removal of polarity? There's no extremes anymore. It's all vanilla.
Sure.
If you've got a tub of ice cream, Neapolitan ice cream, there's chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry, and there's poles there.
Yes.
It's polar opposites. Like you got chocolate fans, strawberry fans. There's probably not a lot of vanilla fans, but when everything becomes vanilla, you must crave
We're
the
looking
edges.
for that emotional maximism.
Yep.
We're craving, and I think
Like
even
your boy Andrew Tate, right?
beyond, oh my God, beyond the Bridgerton and the Wuthering Heights, there's also been a big resurgence of thrill seeking and really risk taking, and podcasts that are very polarizing and divisive and combative, and
it's like clickbait, right? Clickbait.
Yeah. And it's sort of dovetailing into, how it's bleeding into the workforce. There are now approximately 45% of us that have side hustles with work.
Interesting.
And that there's approximately, a good portion of those side hustles are not from necessity, as far as needing to generate more income.
Okay.
It's a choice, because
That was my instant thought.
there was a necessity. Yeah, similarly. And so I read with interest that it's because of expression, or it's because of passion or creativity, or
But
an outlet.
is that 45% increased on a previous stat, or is that?
Most certainly, it's never before have side hustles.
But I've worked with
and
people
multiple income streams
for decades that have had
that
side
have had
hustles.
multiple. Yeah,
There's always been someone who's done a thing. And it's like cool.
Yeah.
It's so much easier now, though, I suppose.
For sure,
friction's
most
been
certainly.
reduced.
Yeah,
Online,
Yeah.
digital.
definitely. But I think that work used to maybe provide a bit more ceremony, or there was
The word that I love is
Yeah.
ritual.
ritual. Yes, exactly that. There was. I still love employment places where they do Employee of the Month.
Yes.
Okay, great. So
High five.
Pixel do it, but formal appraisals or promotion dinners, or some ritual and some theatre that perhaps has been sanitised out of the workplace.
There's a Napoleon quote that's probably maybe a little bit out of context, but you can't pay a man enough to lay down his life, but he'll willingly do it for a little yellow ribbon.
Oh,
And just
so poignant. Yes.
I think that's really interesting. That
Yeah.
we always talk about the sanitary items of the workplace, the money that people are getting paid, the work from home, all those things, and a bit of recognition and a crisp high five every now and again.
Yeah.
Thank you
Or
for
even
doing an amazing job.
Even touching on tenure. I feel like tenure is almost taboo, because it's, employers are now sort of, rather than where do you see yourself in 5 years, it's where do you
5
see
months.
yourself in
5 weeks.
2 years, maybe. Yeah, exactly. But celebrating tenure and having a bit more of that presence and
What's a milestone for tenure these days? What's like worthy of celebration?
Look, I mean,
Passing
I would
your,
start with
your
probation.
period?
I mean, hey, but 12 months.
So sad.
12 months, maybe
Are you still
annually.
here?
Annually.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mean, you don't have to do a massive party for it, but
Yeah.
I do like the recognition that we do tend to throw get-togethers for people who are exiting our business, and we don't maybe do that as much for those within it or even joining our business.
Yep.
Yeah.
And another topic for another day about how important onboarding is.
Oh my God.
But we do the big farewell for someone who's leaving, but bringing ceremony
I don't know.
back
I
to
kick
the
him out the door and
workplace.
say, "Don't come back."
Okay, not even a gift card.
Why
no.
are you still here?
Yeah, but I think that employers could maybe introduce a bit more. I feel like employers are like, you know what, I've got enough.
doing
on my
enough,
bloody
right? Yeah,
to-do list. I don't want to have to bring romance into the workplace
All this new
again.
governance
but,
and compliance things we have to do, and all these new
but it's also
awards.
even just as far as KPIs, it's we have a mission and a purpose, very much in your camp, Chris.
Preach.
And I think that is going to permeate our culture at the moment so much more than it being that KPI conversation.
So the
galvanising
the
of
super
the
cool
mission.
people at leading teams talk about mechanics and dynamics, and Ray and Jesse and they do amazing work. But this focus on KPIs and so on, it's very mechanical and it's the numbers. And the dynamics, I mean, in their definition is to build relationships strong enough to withhold genuine conversation. But my take is similar, but around you need to engage the intellect with the mechanics, but if you can engage the heart, that's where the discretionary effort is, and that's where the leaning in is, and that's where the helping you raise the boats together.
Yes.
Who's going to help me lift the boats, Nath?
And I agree
Who's
that
going to carry them? Who's going to carry the
isn't-
boats?
Yeah,
I
work
even
isn't
stuffed up the
meant
line.
to fulfill every emotional need, and I also to hark back to happiness. I think that that's dangerous, and we might be over romanticising employment. But I think that
Sounds like
I think that
right up your alley.
but I think that perhaps some intensity outside of work can be healthy diversification as well.
But this is. I mean, we talked before that you don't know what's happening at home.
Sure.
Well, we say all the time you can't see in other people's marriages, you can't see into other people's homes. So what they present to you is all you can go on. But this whole cycle of sometimes people are motivated in the workplace and sometimes they're not, and that's okay. What can we do? Is everything okay? Because cycles happen. But when something's not going well at home, expectations of things going well at work go through the roof. So their view of their workplace might drop because it's not the thing that's lifting them up at the moment because home's not. And vice versa. When work's shit, sorry for swearing, the expectations of home being tranquil and lifting you up go up and down. So we're a dichotomy of two beings, like the work and the home us. And we talk about the blend and there should be a work-life balance.
Yep.
But as long as over time everything evens out, and I don't know whether we have the long time frame anymore. Like we're talking about tenure. Like what is a good tenure?
What do you think, Nathan? Do you have a swoon-worthy workplace, or is it
swoon-worthy?
I don't think work needs to be happy.
Yeah, right.
This is a different take, I suppose.
It's called work, not play.
It's not a place to be super fun. You can have moments of happiness and fun. But
What about ritual and
I don't find
ceremony?
that rewarding.
But you have ritual and you have ceremony.
I have ritual, I have ceremony. I think it can be as little as knowing your team's kids' names and asking about them on a regular basis instead of every time you come to the desk asking, what are you doing? What are you working on right now? That for me has been a nice little habit to form. But yes, team member of the month, anniversaries, all those kind of things, birthdays, whatnot, which I know you've preached as being like the number one.
A birthday
reward
off
perk
is a
that you can give
perk,
somebody.
yeah.
Haven't got there yet for the day off, but maybe one day.
But say happy birthday.
There was a
It gets harder the more people you have, so do it now.
there was a monk on a podcast. I can't remember his name or what
monk on a
podcast it was, but a
podcast.
monk, and they were
Sounds like a
asking
joke.
him about happiness.
Okay.
And he said, I don't seek happiness because to have happiness, you have sadness. So he believes obviously yin and yang, positive and negative, that in order to have happiness, there's to have a high, you have a low.
Okay.
He seeks peace. because peace is stable and consistent, and that's
Okay,
so
calm.
I think I would rather a workplace of peace than of happiness, pure happiness. I wouldn't be aiming or shooting for happiness. I'd be aiming for peace. And that's actually, I think my team would definitely agree with me on that. We aim for peace with our clients, peace with our workload.
It's a really interesting
expectations.
perspective. Yeah.
We don't need to be doing the most riveting work every
and
single
troughs
day.
And emotion and
we don't need to win awards every day or all those things, but we have rewarding work that's peaceful.
How do you balance that desire for peace with potentially the danger of people brushing things under the rug and not entering genuine debate and conflict that should be there to ensure that the workplace is productive and doing great work because I want to keep the peace?
Well, that falls back to the trust in the team, and you obviously would preach this, Chris, in being able to talk about expectations and have accountability amongst each other. But to do that and to execute on those expectations in a peaceful way, we're not accusing each other of things, we're not attacking anyone, we're not talking behind anyone's back about, this guy didn't do this week. So that's, again, shooting for peace with those parameters.
And the line of we talk with leadership teams, the right way to approach any debate is that the other person is coming from a place of good intention. And as soon as you start thinking that person is coming at this with nefarious or some other bad intention, there's probably a broken relationship or culture.
It's a hard culture to instill, and it needs to be reinforced from leadership that it is okay to talk about what you expect and what the team should be doing, and to not let it become an attack, a personal attack.
Dispassionate clarity.
I wouldn't say dispassionate clarity is the term that I love. Not everyone knows what I'm talking about when I repeat that phrase.
I really need to register the domain name.
But
That's good.
that's a skill that has to come over time. I don't think you can just say, "Hey, everybody, we can now starting from now, we can all talk with dispassionate clarity," and then everyone just goes and does it.
The boiler frog analogy is the right way to look at that one, in my opinion. That if you throw a frog into a boiling pot of hot water, it'll jump straight out. But if you raise the temperature slowly, and the same thing happens with feedback and genuine conversation, you have to enter that conversation and raise the temperature in the room.
Cook that frog.
So that everybody is...
Poor little frog.
That's a horrible analogy.
I've had frog legs once. It's terrible. Is it?
I've had frog
lobster,
legs.
frog, whatever you want to do.
I've not eaten frog.
You never eaten frog?
No
Delicious,
way.
like chicken.
Yes, I feel the amount of food that's just like chicken. Yeah, right.
But yeah, so creating an environment that's conducive to feedback takes time. And how do you raise the temperature in a room?
Yeah.
So that people are open to and accepting and free to give.
But I think that, Nathan, if you're sharing that your workplace, that you foster calm and yet you do have these aspects of celebration and ritual and ceremony and even tailored personal, attention to your team members and their work, their life, then that's not beige and that's not transactional.
I wouldn't describe it as happy though. Like it's not.
Interesting.
I'm not aiming for like, oh my God, celebrate, woo, parties and streamers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like it's not a.
And it's so subjective that I just don't think that. I mean, they didn't they? Happiest Workplace Awards and Happy Place to Work 2025 and. Yeah, they had, I don't know who was doling them out.
Not a great place to work, but a happy place to work.
Yeah, which is so subjective. Who goes in and critiques that and judges it? But I just think that ultimately if we are talking about transactional, very pared back and sanitized work environments, then I think that loyalty then becomes optional. And that the ripple effects of that, what I'm sort of noticing is that we've sanitized a lot of what we do in the workplace, and that as a contrast, that culturally and what's going on in the zeitgeist now is so much more of this emotive maximalism, and it's just an interesting dichotomy.
I think people just want to feel something.
Yes.
Rather than just turn up,
humans they want narrative.
This absolutely leads into my issue.
Very nice.
It's almost like we planned
I
this.
know, it's great.
Balancing that human connection versus that efficiency. So, EOS is fantastic at systems and process and almost roboticizing some of our, parts of our business, but without that human connection over the top of it and that lens that dispassionate clarity and the genuine care, the efficiency will never be there no matter what process you have.
Yep.
But it is a balancing act.
Well, I think it was the CEO of Hilton forever ago, and I'm going to bastardize this quote, but it was, you systemize the mundane so that you can humanize the exceptional. And so that's the whole process is that the mundane tasks that are repeatable become the default, and we drive those down so that they are done, rote learned, so then we can be more human. And I think we talked about this with like the AR glasses and stuff, is how do you superhumanize your experience rather than so I think efficiency should lead to increased levels of humanization if you do it properly. But if you only ever focus on efficiency, then it becomes a vanilla, bland, cube-based workplace that nobody gets engaged with.
So a lot of that mundane component of the workforce is being replaced already with AI.
Yep.
It's coming like a freight train, so it's going to consume even more in the next 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. They're even talking about most human professions being completely antiquated in the next 10 years. I think Elon Musk has been quoted saying definitely 10, probably 5, where humans won't need to know or learn anything really.
That makes me sad that we're not, I mean, even
it's scary,
I'm even sad
but
about
exciting
handwriting.
at the same time, right?
Like, there's no pen license anymore. There's no handwriting, and to not have to learn or
have to being the operative word.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So human existence and purpose will change completely in the next 5 to 10 years, I think. Yeah. But we will crave human connection even more.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Like it's going to be valued so much more. And so I think in the workplace right now, human skills, interhuman skills, communication skills are so valuable, which is why maybe, the younger generation have probably suffered during COVID and will continue to be behind the 8 ball in the future because they've lacked that. They had that massive gap when they were forming their personality and who they are. They weren't able to do that face to face. So they're so much further behind. But these people that can communicate well and can provide
It's interesting,
empathy.
isn't it? Because while I agree with you that the human connection is going to reign supreme, we are still in an environment that is chronically online. And so even those that weren't able to have that in-person, relationship skills being developed during those COVID years were perhaps even better at doing that online. And there is still so much relationship work that is conducted online.
Sure, but we're also chronically depressed.
Yeah, lonely.
I think there's going to have huge impact.
Yeah, right. And then I also am curious about, I've been a proponent in the past of the DISC personality profiling, for example, and there are lots of us who are in the S and C quadrants who are more detail-oriented, who really enjoy so much of the work that is going to be automated. And is the answer for them to become an extrovert? What are we doing with our wonderfully detail-oriented introverts, and how do they then make a productive working life when so much of the granular detail has been automated from them?
And my harsh question to that is there a purpose for that in the future? Like,
Yeah, wow.
Is
We're
there a
going
need for that?
to breed and evolve beyond the introvert?
Well,
That is a
possibly.
sad day.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
What drives the introvert though? Is it's self-satisfaction on the task that they're doing?
But I think if we're saying it's either the nitty-gritty stuff that's going to be easier to automate versus the emotive, relationship-based, human-centered work, then those two seldom exist in the one person. And I think that that's a stretch. I think that is challenges for a big portion of our workforce to develop different skills. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's just simply a thinking out loud about how many might feel so differently displaced than others who might be like, oh, thank God I hated doing those spreadsheets anyway. and someone's like, oh my God, those spreadsheets were my identity.
But we talked just before about things becoming sanitized. And one of my favourite phrases is you like people for their virtues, but you love them for their faults. And is looking for perfection and sanitization, which, I mean, unless you're actively inserting failure into an AI workflow, it's going to be perfect and boring all the time. And we talk about people wanting challenge and leaning in and passion back into the workplace. I'm going down a path here, aren't we? But we will lean into that as humans. We have to. We already crave connection. And even, I mean, I remember like mid-2020 when the pandemic hit and, I had 30, 40 staff who were all sent home. And being a technology company, 80% of us are like crippling introverts. And they're all like going, yes, this is my time. And within 3 weeks, oh my God, please, I need to see some humans. And recognising that being an introvert isn't necessarily not wanting to see people, but it's wanting to see people on your terms.
That is so true.
So we had to instigate a work from the office day. And whether I've spoken about this before, but we had a work from the office roster so that we didn't have overlapping teams, so cross-infection wasn't a problem. And it was, let's get people back together for a reason. And then that sort of formed our work from home policy as an organisation, that you can work from home as an adult, as someone who we believe in and trust, and we've been very clear with your job outcomes, whenever you want to. But what we expect is, if you need to do face-to-face, if you need to do collaborative work, try and do that face-to-face. When we have team meetings, try and be in the office for that. And on top of that, every month we have pizza as a team. Every month we have a cake day to celebrate everyone's birthdays. So we're trying to create those positive opportunities and rituals to bring people back together, not because they have to, because they want to, which again shifts our focus from you need to prove to me that you're working to I need to create an environment that you want to work in. Just slightly different. Few tangents there, but pulling from other conversations.
And I mean, I think that still those that are really, they enjoy being in the weeds or the minutiae of work or the really detail-oriented work, even despite automation and productivity hacks and everything else, I think that there will still always be a seat for someone who can analyse, even if it is analysing different levels of output, really. No. You think that can be completely automated, the analytics of it?
100%.
So the road to mastery.
Right.
The road to mastery.
I'm like, bring it on. Like, I'm like,
is that what you say?
I'd love to learn.
Every role.
The role of a master is now gone.
The elite surgeons, absolute best of the best surgeons will be replaced.
Surgeons, right.
Like robotics.
Everything.
Yep.
Everything you could think of will be done better by AI and robotics.
Just finished a book called Mastery, written by a surgeon. And it talks about the apprentice through journeyman through mastery process that we go through over time. And he talks about specific operations and recognising that when you cut open a person, it's never the same. And it crosses over differently and it feels differently. And with a certain... When you've got a type of infection, it'll make your flesh feel different, and you need to make sure you have to cut different things. And
that sensation, like
what level of training will these AIs have to have that it takes a human
all the nuances,
a lifetime to pick this up? How much can you compress that?
So
that wasn't a challenge to you. That was like a.
Oh, I think it's very obvious. I think they'll easily train to that level easily, and I think they're probably already close to that. If not right now, very soon. I know I've seen videos of robotics like performing surgery on eggshells and like cutting away like the different layers of an eggshell, and so it's already capable. And the diagnostic tools that will probably be developed and come with it to be like live, So
the dexterity's there.
Yep.
But then it's the if then else training.
Sure, and I think. It will easily surpass a human's ability to do that if this then.
I don't know whether I'm terrified, excited, amazed.
Both, right? Yeah. Nobody knows exactly what it's going to look like. What's going to happen to society.
Because we're effectively designing ourselves out of gut instinct.
Yeah.
And I don't think we can. I hope we can't. I hope there's still the intuition of humans that plays a part. And I think that the surgeon who's got 40 years experience and just feels this tick or there's something, I just don't think no matter the senses on the planet could all have the same reaction, or I hope that they can't. I don't know enough about it, but it just defies my feeble brain to think that it could be completely done as effectively or better.
So there's a few studies out. I've just quickly Googled just to make sure I'm not talking crap.
Yeah.
But Microsoft AI, MAIDXO was the model that was used.
Yeah.
Outperforms GPs at diagnosis.
Yeah, okay.
So-
Diagnosis.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So if it's
GPs.
already diagnosing better because it's not making mistakes, it's not it's looking at pure data, you can see it's going to progress and progress and progress.
Yeah.
I personally would prefer the statistical champion. If it's an AI robot that statistically performs my surgery better, I'm going with it every time.
Yeah,
But
wow.
is that the diagnosis is one thing, but allowing a robot that is void of emotion to cut me open, that's a long way down the track.
Would you sit in a Tesla? An autonomous driving Tesla?
Uneasily, yes, but an autonomous driving Tesla, I still have a brake in front of me that I can interact with.
Do you? Is that a thing?
Would you sit in a Waymo taxi?
I have not, and I know you have.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you put your life
I
in
would definitely
the
wear my
hands.
seatbelt.
Yeah, but your life is in the hands. So it's another level up, I know, having surgery. But
Yeah.
why not? If I trust my life in a car, why would I not also trust a surgeon, a robotic surgeon?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, and I think is it
Massive questions.
for all the knowledge and all the dexterity and skill set, like you can when those overlap, that does question our relevance as in so many ways. But where does emotion come into this? Where does bedside manner and care and making someone feel okay before surgery, like how does an AI help with that?
Maybe the AI does that too.
Well, maybe it's
But
already
I'm
doing that.
also- I'm
That's a
very-
great question, Chris.
I'm very open to the fact, though, that AI with the removal of emotion could be seen as an advantage, and that a surgeon who's just had a relationship breakdown or that there's other things that, it's just, gosh, the arguments for and against are so compelling.
I think there'll
that-
always be this coupling with human connection. So the humans will still be the ones, I think, in control, hopefully. We're not in the Terminator world, but where humans, like you say, provide that human connection for patients, maybe fact check and make sure that everything's running as it should. I think it's just going to scale capability, scale accuracy and efficiencies.
So can I ask, Nath, if you think that AI is going to automate us out of a gut instinct, or that really what is the essence or
You
the
can
soul
still have a
of
gut
a
instinct,
human?
though. It's about the accuracy of that gut instinct.
Well, what's your take on art and music and writing?
So I
Do you
think
think
that will always
that-
be. I think that will always be considered a human
Really?
endeavor. Yeah. I think
Okay,
so.
despite having every possible, medium and, combination of whatever, like all of it obviously being at the disposal of AI. Do you think that there'll still be
I'm sure you've been
humans
to an
that do
art show
better?
where you've looked at a blob or a splat on a piece of paper and gone, "Wow, that's an amazing piece of art," right?
Yes.
So why is it? And if an AI system developed that, would you appreciate it?
Yeah, I think that the question I have is whether AI could produce at the level or better than
Art?
humans
Wouldn't it be
for art.
Well, art is subjective, right?
Yes.
But at the same, when you look at art or you hear art, what's the question you're asking? What was that person feeling when they did this? And if AI
what
has
I'm
done
getting
it,
at.
AI feels nothing.
But even just, I mean, I don't know the backstory of J.K. Rowling, for example, and the Harry Potter universe and her sitting down and thinking of a muggle or whatever, these terms that
Sure.
for all intents and purposes, let's say were completely fabricated from her brain.
Yep.
Are we going to have AI publish as imaginative works out of potentially thin air.
Half the Hollywood scripts that are out right now are probably AI supported. There are AI only artists on Spotify right now, and you might not even know you've been listening to them.
Read that recently.
I think Drake released an album where his voice was completely AI generated. Not an album, sorry, just a track, I think it was.
There was an artist I saw recently who on TikTok and Instagram had teased a couple of sound bites of their track that was due to be released in a month or two, and someone chucked it into AI and said finish the song and released it themselves under a pseudonym to get the revenue and beat him to the punch. And it actually ended up being similar to the full track that was released. Like, what?
So authenticity is under attack, but I think people will still value the creative mind of the original author.
Does this hark back to a vanilla conversation though? That like at
Surely.
the moment, large language models are trained on existing information. What they're creating is, I believe, a version of existing information. Is there anything new coming out of AI? And is that the next step in AI, that it's actually going to be, it'd have to be sentient in some way to be able to come up with a new concept as opposed
Singularity.
to that's getting a bit deep and dark.
But even then, I mean, surely yes, because surely I could ask AI now for a recipe that doesn't exist currently in the world on any platform or in any data.
Well, it tastes
so
like
therefore,
crap.
you're making a meal that's never been, or a recipe that's never been put together before.
Yep.
So that could be argued
Hasn't
as
been passed
being
down through
new.
generations, hasn't
Yes.
been tested,
Refined.
doesn't come from a certain
That's
culture.
surely
Hasn't been
new.
tasted. Like, why would you do that?
So no, I'll say no. Ba-boom.
Yeah, okay, good.
Not going to replace art.
There's some hope for humanity
Thank
in the
God,
future.
something.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
What a massive episode. My God, my brain is crying, rocking back and forth in the corner.
We always get to talk about AI, don't we?
We do. I think just it's permeating everything at the moment. It's inescapable. Yeah.
I think next time we should say no AI.
Really? We'll have an AI swear jar.
Or the drinking game. Take a
Yes,
shot every
yes.
time.
Yeah, I think we'll fail dismally.
We will.
You're right.
Great chatting, guys.
Yeah, well, where can we find you guys? Chris?
Look for me, Chris B. Davies, on LinkedIn. Happy to have a chat with anyone.
Oh, very good, very good.
Pixel
Nate?
Digital for me on all good social media channels.
Nice, very good. Lauren, Fruition, chuck those into anything and you'll probably come up with me. So I'll see you on the flip side. See you next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye.